I think it's fair to say that if in my first term Ferguson had flared up, as President of the United States, I would have been commenting on what was happening in Ferguson.
Michael Brown's death was the first in a series of police-involved killings that got national attention to this extent. CNN's Sarah Seidner looks back.
The shooting death of Michael Brown by a Ferguson, Missouri police officer on August 9, 2014, reignited a worldwide debate about race in America. Brown's death also spurred a movement to change the relationship between law enforcement and people of color. The hashtag Black Lives Matter, which began after Trayvon Martin's death and picked up steam again, was used nearly 6 million times on Twitter in the year that followed Brown's death. The deaths of several other unarmed black men at the hands of police officers also gained attention. Ezell Ford in Los Angeles on August 11th, 12-year-old Tamir Rice in Cleveland on November 22nd, Tony Robinson on March 6th in Madison, Wisconsin, Eric Harris in Tulsa, Oklahoma on April 2nd, Walter Scott on April 4th in North Charleston, South Carolina, Freddie Gray in Baltimore on April 19th, and Samuel DuBose on July 19th in Cincinnati. But the nationwide focus began in Ferguson and dragged on for months. On November 24th, a grand jury decides not to indict Darren Wilson, the officer who killed Mike Brown. The decision isn't read until after nightfall. Rioters take to the streets in Ferguson. Hashtag Ferguson explodes on Twitter. The next day, there are protests, mostly peaceful, in more than 170 American cities. In the year after his death, hashtag Mike Brown was used in more than 3.5 million tweets. Hashtag Ferguson was used in nearly 43 million. Then, on December 3rd, a New York grand jury chooses not to indict the police officer who put Eric Garner in a chokehold on July 17th while trying to arrest him for allegedly selling cigarettes illegally. Garner can be heard repeating, "I can't breathe." Garner has a heart attack and dies on the way to the hospital. Hashtag I Can't Breathe dominates on Twitter and has been used in more than 2 million tweets since. In the days following the decision, protesters head to the streets of New York City, galvanizing their efforts on social media with other hashtags like It Stops Today and Shut It Down. On December 13th, tens of thousands turn out for the Millions March in NYC. The next big clash between people and the police is in Baltimore, after Freddie Gray dies from injuries sustained while in a police van on April 12th. In West Baltimore, days of protest follow, turning violent on April 25th. The Maryland National Guard is called in to get control of the city. On April 28th, there are nearly 10 million tweets using hashtag Baltimore. On May 1st, Baltimore DA Marilyn Mosby announces 6 officers will face criminal charges in connection with Gray's death. Baltimore residents respond with cheers and tears. In the aftermath of Mike Brown's death, the Department of Justice finds the Ferguson Police Department routinely violated the constitutional rights of some of its citizens. In New York, Mayor Bill de Blasio announces a 3-day police retraining program. And President Obama calls for ways to improve the trust between law enforcement officers and the communities they serve.